Move Daddy here on Critique Central once again with my big guy Hansen. How be bro?
Oh, we dey inside. We dey
Day
manage small small. How you go do
small.
Yeah.
I mean, looking around in Europe this season, one of the teams that have really stood out most will be surprising. Yeah, Barcelona. What do you make of them? Do you think that they have actually outperformed their expectations this season?
Well, I think it's very clear. On top of La Liga, then to the semi-finals of the Copa del Rey,
Mm-hmm.
they also progressed to the quarter-finals of the Champions League. I mean, what more could they do?
I mean, Barcelona is Barcelona. They could always do more.
Yeah.
But when you also look at the consider what happened during the preseason, I mean, off season, where they were having um, money issues, they had to activate levers and things,
Yes.
and also considering the fact that they have a very young team. When I say young, I'm not just talking about young players with experience. Most of them have little to no experience, and the core of the team,
You can say teenagers.
yeah, they're teenagers or young guys. And for them to be able to do what they are doing at the highest level, people would argue that La Liga is the best league in the world. That's another conversation for another day.
Yes.
But whether it is or not, it's one or two. And for you to be able to do this, these young guys excel so much this season. I mean, if we're going to talk about what they've been able to accomplish this season, how many goals have they scored this season?
Well, in across all competitions, they have over 130 goals. I think
That's-
134 goals.
That's amazing. And how many games?
Well, if you look at the goals they scored and you look at their goals per game ratio, they are around 3.06 goals per game. That is not the total goals in the match. The goals they have scored. So it tells you how prolific the front three is.
Yeah.
Now let's look at this critically. Let's look at their front three. I mean the consistent ones. We have Robert Lewandowski, who is 36 years. He should somewhere probably in Saudi Arabia or in USA almost at the end of his career.
Yeah.
But then he's banging the goals. We have Rafinha. Oh, Rafinha.
Our own
Abreu.
Rafinha.
Rafinha has suffered a lot of stick at
Yeah,
Barcelona.
yeah,
I think
yeah.
it takes a lot of character and hard work to be able to rise above the hate. Let me say it that way, and to be able to produce the goods. We saw Rafinha at Leeds.
Yeah.
He was not the finished article, but clearly he stood out amongst his colleagues or his peers in Leeds United.
football is healing now.
Good.
We are going back to the era where players peak in their late 20s.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. But look at Rafinha from Sporting Lisbon to Leeds, and then he made that big money move to Barcelona.
Yeah.
Of course, it was a tough task. It was a huge call for him because making that transition from Leeds United, a
Leeds,
relegation threatened team,
to Barcelona,
one of the giants in global football, Barcelona, it was not easy for him. We realized he struggled a bit. But look at Rafinha this season. He's not just scoring the goals, he's providing. And if you look at the Ballon d'Or standing as it stands right now in terms of what fans are seeing in some of the journalists and all that, he's at top of the list, which shows his remarkable rise from and rise in performance levels from what he did. And of course, we have the golden boy Lamine Yamal, a teenager. I mean, he still does his homework.
Yeah.
and enjoying some of his online classes.
and-
But you look at what they are doing, the front three. You give credit to the players, but let's give credit to what Flick is doing. Because when you look at Flick's setup, where we have the front three, he gives them that freedom to move. Rafinha, in particular, moves across the front three. There are most times when you look at Barcelona's build-up, we spoke about transition. Now, you do realize how Barcelona transition, that is what killed Benfica, which you would agree with me.
Yeah, we spoke about it.
When it comes to their transitional play,
they're actually the best in Europe.
they are the best team.
They're the
Now,
best
if you
in
look at who is the focal point in most of their transitional play, it's not even Lewandowski, because Lewandowski drops deep
Yeah.
to free up space for Lamine and then Rafinha. Rafinha is most times on the finishing end of these moves.
Yeah, he's the end product of the move.
Exactly.
It's
It
remarkable.
tells you how fluent the front three is.
Yeah.
Now, interchanging positions and all that, scoring a lot of goals, it is not easy. And you can see when they have on their good day, they can score 5 or 6 goals.
How many times have they scored more than 4 goals this season?
Well,
44% of their games.
Even I think in the Copa.
Do you know how upset that is? It's crazy because so many goals. 44% of their games this season.
Good.
In 2025, they
Exactly.
scored 60 goals.
Yes, and they are unbeaten in 2025. Let's not forget that.
60 goals.
Yes,
3.3 goals per game.
that is how prolific they have been. That is how prolific they have been. And as I said, let's give credit to Flick. Now, you remember the Bayern Munich team that humbled or humiliated Barcelona 8-2.
the 8-2, yeah.
Flick is one of the managers that pays attention to pace.
The pace of the game and
it-
transition.
You see, football has changed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, you need physical, energetic players who can run, go and come for 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Now, Flick's setup with Bayern Munich during the pandemic
Yeah.
is what Barcelona couldn't handle. Now, this is the same man who came to Barcelona, and look at his midfield.
Yeah.
Sergio Busquets is not there because he didn't have the legs. He's gone.
Mm-hmm.
Who did they have in midfield? They had Marc Bernal, who was the perfect player for how he wanted. He fit the profile for a midfielder Flick wanted. But then, because of his injury, who did he have? Marc Casado. He's 20 years. From where? La Masia. And look at what he's doing.
And
with Pedri and then Gavi. Gavi was even injured for a considerable number of time. But let's look at that.
And also not forget Marco Barsi.
Exactly. He's also 17 years.
17 years.
And
do you know how mentally tough or good you need to be at that age to play in a high line?
Exactly.
To be able to control your back line, to be able to step out. You know, they are one of the teams that have caught their opponents offside the most.
Oh, so many times.
And I mean, people even call them highline Barcelona.
Yes.
But you know how difficult that is?
It is. You see, your entire back line should be on song.
Yeah.
Because if there is a miscommunication, one of your entire back line will play the opponent on, and then the goal will count. So you need to be on song. So Koundé, Kubasi, Inigo Martinez, and then Balde have to be on song. But we are talking about Kubasi. He's 17 years.
17.
But if you look at the calmness with which he plays, you think he's even older, or he's the one marshalling the back line.
And his passing range.
Yes.
His ability to break the lines from deep.
Yes. People are calling him the new. Some people say he's the new Puyol. Some people say he's the new Piqué.
No, he's not.
But he's the one and only Kubasi, because no one does that at 17 years.
Yeah, at 17 years, it's
no
remarkable.
one does that at 17 years.
There are so many great defenders in the history of the game that wouldn't survive in a high line. They will be eaten alive in today's game, because back then the game was played differently, where a lot of teams were, the defense line was a little, the back line was a little at the back.
Yes.
But these days, because football has changed so much, back then we'll say defense wins championships. The legendary Jose Mourinho would back that up for me. But this time around, Barcelona is proven, or they have proven to us time and time again, even in their successful era, the Messi, Suarez, Neymar era, the Xavi, Hernandez, Iniesta era, that attack is the way to go.
Oh, of course. It is. With a high line, it is difficult to play. In preseason, when Real Madrid played against Chelsea, I think Chelsea's high line under Maresca was a problem. Maresca admitted that Ancelotti told him the line is too high, the back line. So it tells you it's not an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
But with what Hansi Flick is doing, as I said, the back line, even your defensive midfielder should be on song. If not, there will be a problem. Now, also with the back line, you realize that you also need a lot of legs to be able to do the recovery runs.
Yeah.
Because you can't only assume or bank your hopes on the fact that the linesman is going to raise the flag or VAR is coming to intervene for you. You actually have to try to avert that danger before a goal is scored and then VAR is called into question. So that tells you how calculated and organized your backline is.
Yeah, Barcelona is very organized. If you also take into the consideration of the fact that having a high line will also narrow the pitch for your opponents. Narrows the pitch for your opponents. And when they narrow the pitch for the opponents, then it's easier for them to win back possession high up the field. And one of the players that have excelled in that this season but has gone under the radar is Pedri. That's surprising because when we think about Pedri, we think about his
He's got a
ability
smooth
to
operator.
to control the game. He's that like saucy kind of midfielder that excites everyone. But his defensive and work rate is very good. He's actually been killing it this season. And one of the reasons he's been able to do that is because he doesn't have a large area of the field to work with whenever Barcelona loses the ball and to get it back, because of the high line is constricted.
So they kind of compress.
Compress the pitch
open
size.
Good.
So then he wins it back
easily,
real
and then
quickly.
he can cause the damage,
Yeah,
because when you need Pedri to be in the attacking half, not in your own half.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that makes this Barcelona different from previous Barcelona teams is we know Barcelona are used to their tiki-taka style of play. Now, give credit to Flick, because one of the things people are not talking about Barcelona is their positional play. So it's hardly will you see one of their players out of position. In as much as their transitional play is quick, very fast, they have a good positional play.
Yeah.
Koundé knows when to step in, to step out. Pedri knows. There are sometimes Pedri is the one even being the screen in front of the defense. And Casado is across the pitch doing his dirty job. But then their positional play is intact. So in as much as they can push you and have a high line, they are also compact.
Yeah, and I think that's what has really been the good thing for them this season, is that they always keep their shape.
Yes,
Barcelona has always kept their shape.
The shape is intact. They pass the ball a lot. They try to have control of the game. But the point is, when they sense an opportunity, just like that, they are gone. They are not, I don't want to say, they are not programmed in a way that regardless, I'm playing the football at this pace.
Yeah.
Whether there are spaces in front of me or ahead, I'm supposed to pass to this player before it gets here. It is not a rehearsed something.
Yeah, it's not a rehearsed.
But when they control the game, when they win back possession in their own half, and they realize that the opponent has committed a lot of men forward, they can hit those long balls. As I said, Rafinha will be the receiver, or Yamal. When Yamal has the ball, Rafinha is coming into the box. And because he's coming from midfield or the wings, hardly do you see a runner or a tracker tracking his movement. Because all attention will be on Lewandowski, who has dropped deep, not in the penalty box. And he has drawn the two center backs closer. And then Rafinha can come and do the damage. There are times Fermin Lopez is the perfect
another
blend.
player we've not spoken about this season.
I say that he's the perfect blend between an Iniesta kind and the Frank Lampard, because he'll do the job in midfield. He'll still give you the goals. So he's the perfect
his
blend.
ability to pick one out of the corner, out of nowhere, is also very, very good. So if you have to look at what makes Barcelona, the culture of Barcelona, relying on the young players from La Masia and making that the core of their team, you can actually see the trend that they are going back to their history. They are going back to their culture. And I think that's one of the reasons why they are actually excelling this season. They've beaten all expectations.
They've had a lot of financial troubles. As you said earlier, they had to even activate some levers because of their financial troubles. But then after making sure they screened their wage bill and made sure they were able to reduce it significantly, they realized that, well, even though if we reduce the wage bill, we don't want to be in that mess again. So how do we get players? And they realized they have a La Masia. Now you realize that La Masia over the years has produced a lot of quality players.
A lot of legends.
There are some La Masia players who had to even go to other clubs, but eventually they came back to Barcelona.
That's good. And before we actually sign off this episode, I would also like to give praises to Dani Olmo, who's also stepped up for them in a clutch this season. And it's actually very good to have a good squad, and Barca has it.
We talk about football IQ.
Yes,
and
Dani Olmo.
I followed him at Leipzig, but I didn't see him in this light.
No, not at all. I think the whole thing about Barcelona this season is that they've surprised everyone.
Yes,
every single one of them has surprised everyone. And that's huge props to Hansi Flick. Hansi Flick is doing a remarkable job.
He's doing a remarkable job. I think he has exceeded expectations. And we can say that Barcelona are gunning for the Champions League trophy.
Yeah.
There's no excuses, and then we can't say there because they've shown they can do it.
Mm-hmm.
So we hope to see.
We hope to see.
Yes,
And
and the Barcelona will know.
they're actually on pace for the treble.
Oh yes, it's not far from them. They can do it.
It's something they've done before. Yeah.
We just hope they'll be able to. If they want to win the trophy, they need to get past the Champions League Grandmasters in their own nemesis.
Do you have anything to tell the Barca fans out there?
Well, they can continue to dream, and I believe that they are on course. What they are doing this season, well, they've exceeded a lot of expectations, and I feel like, and I believe that Hansi Flick is the man to take them forward.
Yeah.
For the trophies, I think they've already won the Super Cup, and they are in for with the Copa del Rey, the league. They are also the Champions League, which I believe they'll be in the final. So I think the sky is the limit for them.
Barcelona fans out there, there's a good cause for excitement. The great times are coming again.
Oh, yes.
So we're gonna enjoy this one. All right, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching us today on Critique Central. I'm Booth Daddy, and there's Hansen.
As usual, we have a lot of.
We're gonna be
amazing
here
content.
again another time, so just stay tuned. Watch out for more content. Cheers.